Autumn is the perfect time to practice a little stoicism for runners. Gone are the long, warm, sunny days. It's soon going to be winter, and it's going to be winter running gear weather. And that means lacing up in the cold, the wet, and the dark. So, what wisdom do the ancient Stoics have that help us as runners to get out there on the days when that pull towards staying warm and dry is preferable to a hill rep session in the pouring rain? Hello and welcome back to The Vegan Runner. This is my second video on Stoicism for runners, and hopefully it will help you live a more stoic life and get through those difficult situations and make you a better runner. Now maybe for you the changing seasons isn't the difficulty, but keeping that consistency with running, whether you're heading towards a key race, maybe you're in the middle of a marathon plan, or perhaps just between races and just maintaining your fitness. So what have the Stoics, these brilliant ancient philosophers who spent their lives pondering how to live in the most fulfilled way, and they came up with everyday practices that can help us all. Now, Stoicism is essentially about accepting that there are things we can control and then recognizing that there's plenty that we can't. We can't control the wind and the rain, but we can control how we react to it. It's all about learning to accept the reality of a situation rather than fight it. A good analogy I've read is to imagine a dog with its lead tied to a cart. Now, when that cart starts moving, the dog can decide whether to run alongside it and have a good walk, or it can dig in its heels, pull against the lead and fight reality. Now, whether the dog likes it or not, that cart is moving, so fighting the reality isn't going to change it. And when the weather is poor and it's lashing down with rain, or maybe you had to stay at work that little bit longer, perhaps you forgot to charge your watch, or maybe your favourite shorts didn't go in the wash, whatever it might be, rather than fight the reality, make the excuses and not go out for that workout, instead we can be the dog that moves with the cart and make the most of the situation. We can't control the elements, we can't control things that are beyond our control, but we can control how we react to them. Stoic philosophers came to the realization that a situation is neither good nor bad, it's only our thoughts about them that make it so. As Marcus Aurelius put it, if you are pained by any external thing, it's not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. The reality of running in the rain, for example, is that for the first mile you might be a little bit cold, it may feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe your shorts cling to your legs, maybe you'll get a little water in your eyes, but really it's neither good nor bad, it's just water falling from the sky. It's only our thoughts about it that make it seem worse than it really is, and we can turn this around and try to find the good in the situation. That you get to splash through enormous puddles, it's going to make me a stronger and better runner. Even though it's raining, you're still getting out there and doing something great for your physical and mental well-being, despite the conditions. You can tell yourself that you're not someone who gives up just because it's raining, that you get to feel the cool rain falling onto your skin, get to hear the sounds, smell the smells, and so on. There's plenty of good to be found in a situation. It's just a matter of perspective. Or you can choose to be really stoic about it and be completely neutral to the fact. It's raining, I'm going to get wet, it doesn't matter. What matters are your actions and how you choose to respond to a situation. Now, I think there's always elements of running that people shy away from, and I'm speaking from experience here as well. There's always parts of running that I kind of fear, shy away from if I can. For some people that's running up steep hills. For me personally, it's tough interval sessions where you have very short rest periods. For you, it could be running at night or sprint sessions. Perhaps it's going beyond a certain distance. Whatever it is, I'm sure you'll recognize something in your running and your training that you shy away from. Now, it's worth reflecting on that thing or those things, whatever it might be, and asking yourself whether it truly is bad or whether it's just your thoughts about them. What is it really about that thing that makes you feel uncomfortable? And can you turn it around? Remember, it isn't the things themselves that disturb people, but just the judgments that they form about them. Now, the Stoics also practice voluntary discomfort, or the idea of getting comfortable with things that are uncomfortable. As Musonius Rufus wrote, "We will train both soul and body when we accustom ourselves to cold, heat, thirst, hunger, scarcity of food, hardness of bed, abstaining from pleasures and enduring pains." Now, they believe that we should train our brains and our bodies to cope and deal with stressful situations that are uncomfortable and don't feel good. In this day and age, we can be surrounded by comfort, and it's a lot easier for us to kind of lean into that comfort and lean away from a challenging situation. But I think we should put ourselves in challenging situations so that we can learn from how we react to them, and then when something stressful and challenging springs up in our day-to-day lives, we'll have more reliable tools to deal with it. Perhaps we'll react in a less emotional manner, stay calmer, and handle these situations better. Running gives us the perfect opportunity to practice being uncomfortable every single day, every single workout. Now, something I had to get used to in my last training block was running twice a day, with the second run being a slow recovery run. At first, I really enjoyed these runs where I barely worked up a sweat, and I loved seeing the weekly mileage really climb up as a result. The only problem is, after about 6 or 7 weeks, I started to get pretty bored of running to a kind of like a set time limit along the same stretch of road, past the same houses, the same old windmill, and it got all kind of pretty monotonous and challenging, even though it was an easy run. But putting myself in that situation day after day really came in handy on race day, when I reached the 6th or 7th hour of the 100k ultra race, and I was running at a very similar pace to those recovery runs, and the movement was becoming quite monotonous. And although I was running through a beautiful part of the country, 7 hours of hedges and fields were beginning to take their toll. And it's at that moment I remembered those recovery runs. I started to think how many hours I ran the same loop over and over, and I started to think, well, actually, this isn't too bad. Now, my point is that feeling uncomfortable and sticking with it, building that mental resilience through those recovery runs, really helped me in a difficult time during that race. Now, something I hear runners avoid a lot is big hills, and I've yet to run a race that didn't feature some kind of elevation, and unless you're running on a track, it's almost inevitable that at some point you're going to be climbing somewhere along the way. Now, if you've been avoiding hills in your training, this could have the potential really to throw your entire race. Now, by actively seeking the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable in your training, that hill at mile 22 on that marathon course isn't going to seem like a challenge at all. And the same goes really for running in different weather conditions. Now, you can never guarantee that race day conditions are just going to be perfect. Now, if you've spent your training hiding from the rain, can you be sure you've got the tools to deal with that situation, to feel uncomfortable if you haven't put yourself in that situation before when it happens on race day? Now, I say go for it, confront that thing that makes you feel uncomfortable, build up that mental toughness, that resilience, so that when a difficult situation arises, you can quickly reflect on a time that you've been in a similar situation and lean on that to give you the strength to conquer your goals. Voluntary discomfort is a theme that comes up quite often in Stoicism. So what can you do now to take this Stoic idea forward and continue to train that mental resilience? One idea is to continue to find discomfort, and you may have to be quite creative in order to do this. So one idea might be to kind of underdress or overdress for your next workout. Those first couple of miles are tricky to push through when that cold wind is cutting through that summer race vest. And perhaps those last few miles are going to be really tough with one too many layers on. Maybe on your next hill session, you decide to wear some ankle weights or sling on a weighted backpack on that long run. Now, it doesn't need to be every workout. There are plenty of times when just getting out of the door, getting those miles in your legs and putting your all into that speed workout is more than enough. And let's not forget, we should still make time for those easy runs and runs where we can just kind of run free of constraints and take some of the pressure off and enjoy ourselves. But Occasionally, training that ability to deal with discomfort, to put your mind and body through challenging situations, is really going to help you in the long run. Whether it's a challenging workout that's coming up on your marathon plan, inclement weather, or a situation in a race that you didn't anticipate, training that mental resistance, knowing how to cope in difficult conditions, and most of all, knowing that you've been in challenging situations before and you came through them on the other side. All of this is going to stand you in good stead for when it really matters. Finally, let's give the last word to Epictetus, who said, "But neither a bull nor a noble-spirited man comes to be what he is all at once. He must undertake hard winter training and prepare himself." Undertake that winter training, those hard practices to prepare yourself for whatever running and life have to throw at you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment section down below what situations you struggle with in running, or how you've been practicing getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and let's inspire one another to become stronger, more resilient runners. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, be the best you.